So this video is just going to be basically what it says, like more juicy, fruity kind of fragrances. It's kind of that season, isn't it, really? And I think my next video's kind of going on the same kind of vibe. But anyway, just fragrances that have this kind of, that twang, that thing, that mouth-watering juiciness. There's so many fruity ones out there. They have this kind of reputation as being but yeah, if you didn't understand that, don't worry about it. But fruity kind of fragrances go through them all, don't they, really? There's nothing particularly unique out there at the moment that I can think of. It's just kind of the popular ones that I wear, really. So yeah, that's juicy, fruity fragrances. So first up is a kind of relatively new purchase for me, and that's Chanel's Gabrielle. Now this predominantly is about this kind of bright, I'd say it's a kind of bright yellowy golden fragrance. Obviously has a Chanel kind of citrus spark about it. I don't really get much of it, or even individually pick out the fruits, but I think there's blackcurrant, there's peach, there's pear. But what I think is kind of, ironically for a fruity video, the kind of main note which gives it its fruitiness is the ylang ylang. It's kind of one of them very juicy, lip-smacking-y kind of ylangs. It really goes nicely with all these fruits. I wouldn't call it anything tropical, but it has this kind of bright sunshininess, and the fruits do get this kind of mouth-wateriness. Now obviously it's a Chanel. There's a usual kind of feel about it. There's a kind of lily of the valley cleanness going through. There are some florals. There's a nice kind of light resinous dry down. I don't know if there is benzoin in it, but you know what I mean, that kind of light smooth. They always have a good base, actually, Chanel fragrances, and a little bit of a sparkle about it, and that's ultimately it. Like I say, the main kind of fruity feel to me comes from the ylang ylang. Well, that's Chanel's Gabrielle. Next is one I've mentioned too much recently, and that's Petra from Masque Milano. This is beautiful. This is like these big, bold, lip-smackingly beautiful, juicy citruses and other fruits in there. It's really quite gorgeous, and they all come together quite rich and quite smooth. The vanilla and the benzoin and all of that come together to give it all this kind of warmth and depth. And you know, there's a bit of a nice pleasant muskiness in there, but it predominantly is like a, I don't know, you see, like a fruit garden to me, like full of these dripping citruses that have been baking in the red hot sun, and also this kind of strong dry patchouli that runs through it all. Like I've said before, it does have a little bit of a, to me, a nod to Coco Mademoiselle, but it's much more, it's bigger, it's more rounded. It's not bigger in the fact that Coco Mademoiselle's quite screechy, isn't it? Quite big, but it's kind of got this juicy sweetness ahead of you. So yeah, that's Masque Milano's Petra. Next up is from Amouage, and that's Imitation. Now this sits on the more kind of greener side of these fruity ones, and this is ultimately, it's a fragrance that's all about the blackcurrant. There's a little hint of licorice in there. There's like all the greener notes, obviously a nice muskiness. There's some florals, etc, etc, and a kind of aldehydic fizz and kind of lift about it that gives it this kind of beautiful airiness. I think there might be a touch of incense as well in there, but the main note is the blackcurrant, and it starts off more kind of this kind of greener blackcurrant that's still on the bush, and you get the full smell of the bush, which kind of does linger through with that kind of greenness about it, and then the blackcurrant gets a little bit tartar and a little bit more juicy, and mixing with the licorice, it gives it this kind of sumptuous kind of darkness about it. There are other fruits in there, I can't think off the top of my head what they are, but they all come together to give the blackcurrant actually ultimately more body a more kind of verve, but it always stays natural, like I say, because of the greener notes in there. And it's one of them that, you know, you're on a long thirsty kind of day and you spot a black currant bush and you kind of chuck one in your mouth, you get that little tart sweetness that you kind of can't get enough of. It's a beautiful one. So that's Imitation from Amouage. Next is from Tom Ford. It's an inevitable one, isn't it, really? That's Bitter Peach. This is, well, peach, but what makes it kind of a more kind of outstanding one is obviously there's Davana in there as well, and there might even be Osmanthus, but it's this big boozy peach. There is a touch of a kind of, is it rum maybe that's in there, and some other boozy note, which again just lifts up the peach, especially with the Davana, and gives it this kind of thick, delicious kind of liqueur kind of feel about it. But it doesn't get too much, because again there are these kind of greener whispers in there. There's a little bit of tartness about it. Maybe there's more than one peach in there, because you get tiny bits of it, but no, it's not predominantly this, but that kind of 90s peach, that little bit of a hairspray kind of thing, but only a little bit. Like I say, it's that just gorgeous, rich, juicy peach again that you're biting into and it's dribbling down your chin. It's glorious fragrance. So that's Bitter Peach from Tom Ford. Next is from Olfactive O, and that's Fruity. Again, one I've spoken about quite a lot. This is kind of this raspberry and strawberry bush, like in a green field. You know, when you go picking, fruit picking with your little basket, and the strawberry and the raspberry have their tart and sweet kind of fruitiness mixed in there, but then you also get the kind of almost mintiness of the leaves and the bushes all around it, and then there's like a fairly pleasant patchouli and vetiver in the bottom, giving it a nice grounding. But it is like basically a summer's day of going around these fields and kind of picking the strawberries, a little basket, you've put a few in your mouth's all red and sticky, the kind of beautiful greenness is in there, so it never takes over. And what's quite hard to get right, I think, is a strawberry note. It's kind of rare for it not to be this plastic disaster, but this one, because it focuses more around the strawberry bush and the kind of freshness, it goes quite lovely. I'd say that kind of lingers off and the raspberry kind of takes over with that kind of red sweetness to it. It's a gorgeous fragrance. That's from Olfactive O, and that's Fruity. Next is one I've spoken about an awful lot, and that's from Aromatics, and it's called Wild Summer Crush. If you're a citrus fan, I kind of recommend you get your nose on this one. It's this beautiful red grapefruit. It's got the kind of a little bit of the bitterness of it, but also red grapefruit tends to be a little bit sweeter, and it gives that kind of feeling on the edge of your sides of your tongue where you kind of go and you kind of want more and more, and somehow it's really thirst quenching, isn't it? And this red grapefruit kind of lingers all the way through it, and it's kind of helped by, I think potentially there's a Popanax in the base, something like that, like a sweet but meaty resin with a bit of depth, and also there's like a beautiful muskiness weaving through it. But as well as that, there is some other fruit I think which adds to juiciness or a floral, but they're not kind of the main things. It's the point, isn't it? What do I actually smell? It is this grapefruit which gets redder and redder as you smell it, but it doesn't turn like into a sweet juicy fruits kind of thing. It has that constant freshness. It's really revitalised. You know where you see like people squeeze a grapefruit into their face and to kind of freshen themselves? It's much like that, I think, with this kind of sunset quality because of that redness mixing with the resins. Beautiful fragrance. That's Wild Summer Crush from April Aromatics. Then we have another one I always mention whilst doing these sorts of videos. That's Playing with the Devil from Kilian. This really is one of their best kind of fruity ones. Like I say, it's a fruit punch, like that dark orange red kind of thing. I think it's predominantly peach, citrus, and there's a little smidge of blackcurrant, but it's not like an actual blackcurrant fruit. It's more like something like a ribena. It's more like a squasher juice, whatever you call it. And it has just sits behind it all with a kind of darker sweetness. There's also some boozy notes in this one. I think there's like rum and what have you, and it all comes together to just create a tropical punch. Something you'd have on a beach and you'd scoop it out and pour it in your coconut or whatever you're drinking out of. And then there's a lovely benzoin in the base. Again, I'm not sure if not incense, but there is a hint of a slight smokiness in there. Again, this is not listed, but it's what I get, which kind of, I suppose, takes me to tropical kind of punch on a beach and all of that. It's a really glorious fragrance. That's Playing with the Devil from Kilian. And finally is a different sort of fruity. It's predominantly actually the kind of citric fruitiness comes from the frankincense. I think this is Frånk and it's from And Fragrances. But what also goes in with there with that kind of sharper, fresher, beautiful frankincense is lime. Some people get lemon, maybe there's both in there, but to me I get a lot of lime. And it makes me think of these sweets in the UK called fruit pastels. And there's a green one, obviously a lime flavoured one, or a lime flavoured fruit gum or something. It's got this sweet juiciness about it. I really, really love lime in a fragrance. It's not really used enough, is it? But in real life as well, I'm not really a citrusy fan, but I do enjoy a good lime with some food or in a drink or whatever. It's not something I particularly bite into and chew on, but if I did, it does have that mouth-wateringly, lip-puckeringly kind of beautiful liminess. And then, as I say, the frankincense gives it this. It doesn't smell anything like marzipan. Don't take it that way. But that crumbliness marzipan has, it's a bit like what the frankincense is, and it has this kind of crumbly kind of texture about it. Like I say, that kind of lemony, sharp brightness of the frankincense mixes so lovely with it. And as it dries down, it predominantly becomes this frankincense with a kind of soft muskiness. I think there is some other crumbly resin perhaps in the base, obviously some woods and whatnot. It's a really lovely, if you're a lime fan, especially a sweeter lime fan, I definitely recommend you give this one a sniff. So that's Frånk from And Fragrances. So yeah, hopefully a very brief fragrance video, because I'm trying to keep them brief at the moment. So much to do as I've waffled on in every other video, but they're just bright fruity ones which suits the season. I know it doesn't look like that today, but it's allegedly summer. It's quite fresh and lovely actually, and they just kind of lift your mood. That's what I'd say is the best thing about a fruity one. They just make you smile and happy. Like when I did that happy video, I bet most of them were kind of fruity ones, because it just has that effect, especially the sweeter, juicy ones, and they just quench a thirst or something. And then whenever someone walks past and smells fruit, you quite like them. I am absolutely waffling on for no reason. I apologise a bit about being out of breath. I've not walked that hill in months and now I'm dying. But yeah, what about you? What's your favourite fruity fragrance? Do you like a more citrus one, a more stone fruity one? Whatever, like that. Right folks, thanks and bye.